Let's tell her. You need to tell her. It's good because then she knows you're working on yourself, and then, that's good. You feel like a jerk for accidentally waking her up, but you're afraid if you put this off any longer, that you won't find the strength to tell her everything later. No, actually, everything isn't okay. Can I tell you something? Something important? Alex sits up, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. For the rest of the night, you lay side by side, holding hands as you tell her everything. You tell her how it's more than just feeling sad sometimes, how you feel trapped by your own mind sometimes, how sometimes you feel nothing at all, and how you can't shake it off. You tell her how you started going to therapy, how you feel embarrassed about it, and how it's working out for you. She listens the entire time, occasionally asking questions about how this or that works, or asking you to explain something further. She squeezes your hand and tells you she understands, and that she's sad you didn't tell her sooner. After laying silent for a moment, the weight of what you did hits you. You desperately want her to say something, to tell you how she's feeling about all of this, but you're too afraid of what the answer would be to ask. You start convincing yourself that now that she knows everything, she's going to leave. There's no way someone could deal with how you really are. So, how can I help? What do you need me to do? She asks. You think for a second, and the answer you come up fills you with despair. I honestly don't know. I wish I knew how to fix this, but I don't know what you can do. That you can do anything. I think it's something I just have to live with. She looks at you with sad eyes before kissing you on the forehead. Then I'll live with it with you. I don't know how you could possibly love me. She rolls over and wraps her arms around your neck, settling her head on top of yours. You don't need to. Just know that I do. Alright, so here's some change. You're definitely still depressed, but things are getting better. Whatever you're doing seems to be working. You really feel like you're taking steps to affect positive changes in your life. You now seem to enjoy seeing your therapist. Between giving you a chance to talk things out and the CBT techniques she shares with you, you find your sessions extremely helpful. And you have been taking your medication regularly, and while you were skeptical at first, it's hard to argue with the fact that you're feeling better than you have in a long time. It's a Friday night, and you're laying across your bed feeling pathetic. As you were leaving work tonight, a group of co-workers asked if you wanted to join them for drinks. Feeling antisocial and put on the spot, you declined. You have a habit of doing this. You're often so convinced that you're weird and terrible, and that any invitation to hang out will end up in disappointment for those inviting you. You never feel like you know how to act in group outings, and you feel like a total creep since it seems to come so naturally to anyone who isn't you. You find yourself petrified of breaking some unknown social rule that you don't often go out. Now, however, you find yourself alone at home. Your brain has begun telling you how pathetic and sad you are for being unable to just be a normal person and go out with nice people. You can't figure out why you can't just go out and meet people and enjoy yourself. At the same time, you're also feeling like no one would possibly want you to hang out if they really knew you, because you're dull and weird anyway. You try your typical strategy of booting up Netflix to distract yourself from these feelings, but frustration with yourself builds and you realize you have to do something else with your night. Anything else to take your mind off of how awful and lonely you feel right now. What do you do? Well, drinking is not a fix, obviously. Going out could be nice, just kind of, change of mind. Maybe talking to Attic would be nice, especially to see how his situation is doing. Call Alex. I would like to do a bunch of these. Alex did ask how she can help, so that would be one way. I kind of don't want to neglect Attic either. Maybe we should check up on him. Alright, let's check up on him. You sit down at the computer and open your chat client. Attic is indeed online, and the two of you catch up briefly before you start passing links to new stories and weird YouTube videos back and forth. Eventually he asks if you'd like to play a multiplayer game with him, and you start to download. Realizing you haven't eaten yet, you tell him you'll be back in a minute, in time for the download to finish after you've made yourself dinner. Out in the kitchen, you notice the time on your microwave. Several hours more than you had expected had passed, and if you only just realized it. Though it's not going out to a bar with people, you feel like this had taken the edge off the loneliness that you were experiencing earlier. Even though he's an internet friend, sometimes when you are too down to be social, he's the perfect person to talk to. You connect with him on a meaningful level, and you find it easier to be yourself by talking to him than you do in most face-to-face social interactions. When you're down, you find yourself using this as another reason to feel like a loser, as though you could only make friends if they didn't have to deal with you in person. But for now, you're relieved to be around him. Finish making your sandwich and sit back down at your computer. Your download has finished, and editing's waiting on you to start. Yeah, that's the thing. It's you're going to constantly think about, oh my god, you can only make friends online. Well, you're a failure and stuff. But at the same time, online is real life too, and it's just that we have more access, or access to more places now, and it does help to hang out with people online, especially if you have mental illnesses, because it's not as stressful, so you can just kind of ease into it more. It has personally helped me a lot. I used to be completely unable to talk to people, really, so this has been a really good, an introduction, I guess, the online thing, because you didn't have to worry about how you look and, all this other stuff, and then it gets kind of easier in offline too, so. It's a cold Saturday afternoon. You've just arrived at Alex's apartment, and you're happy to finally see her after a week of absence due to your schedules not lining up due to work and school. You hug her in the doorway, but she breaks away sooner than normal and sits down on the couch as you take off your sneakers and lay them in the usual place, right next to hers. There's something I was hoping we could talk about, actually, she says. You instantly worry that you're being blindsided by a breakup conversation due to the sudden shift in tone, but she quickly smiles and puts you at ease once she sees all of the color leave your face. It's nothing bad, I promise. With that, she leads you over to the couch and sits on the other end of it, facing you. So, I hope this doesn't freak you out, and if you feel like things are going too fast, just tell me. She talks faster than usual and fidgets. We seem to have a lot of weeks like this, and they really suck. I was thinking I'd ask, since things are so strong with us. What are your thoughts on maybe moving in together? It takes a few seconds to sink in, and leaves you a bit shocked when it does. You were worried she wanted to spend less time with you, not more. Do you want to? You ask. Well, yeah, I do. I mean, we'd have to sort out logistics and everything, but those are all things we can take care of. You start to walk through the steps of imagining the two of you living together. You love the thought of being able to wake up next to her every day and seeing her so often. However, the more you picture it, the more a few concerns become apparent. There are things she is insulated from, like the days you don't feel like you can even get out of bed, the nights your medication keeps you from being able to sleep, all of those moments you're stuck staring at the wall, completely out of the energy and feeling nothing. How would she handle that? How quickly would she want to get away? So, she starts, what do you think? Okay, so I would like to bring up some concerns, just to not freak her out, and just to be upfront. Well, yeah, I'd like to. So, also, this is Another one of the side effects, the medication can make you pretty much insomniac at first, which is kind of funny. And then afterwards, it kind of turned the opposite for me. It was funny. At first, I almost wanted something to put me to sleep, and now it's more like, oh God, please keep me awake. But this is again a reason why I need to change my meds personally. So it's supposed to make you more awake, obviously, but it calms down again at some point, so it gets normal. But if you're starting to get tired again and stuff, then you probably need a different med. So again, that's why I'm seeing that they can give me something different when I go. Alright, so tell her you want to, but you have concerns. Do you want to discuss them first? You are really worried that if Alex were to live with you, she wouldn't be able to deal with your days of being unable to get out of bed, or nights where you can do nothing but stare at the wall and panic. Even though you've discussed your situation with her, you still fear that she doesn't realize the depth of how bad it gets. It's one thing for you to detail how you feel sometimes, and for her to see it pop up occasionally. It's an entirely different situation for it to be something she has to live with alongside you. Well, I'd like to, but I think it's best if we talk about it a bit more before committing to a decision. Though she seems a little defeated, you make it clear that you're not making excuses and actually mean that you want to talk. You reiterate a lot of what you've told Alex that night, and although she gets a little defensive and tells you that she knows all of that already, she confirms that she is willing to help you through your issues. I feel like you forget I love you sometimes. I know that there will be bad days, and I'd rather try to work through them with you. We can figure all of this out together. Her words sway you, and you can't help but hold her close to you. Alright. Alright, we see some changes here. You're doing well. You may still have fewer bad days, but you now have effective ways to deal with them. And you don't get nearly as low as you used to, or for as long. You still visit your therapist, and even she has remarked on how much more alive you seem lately. And you are taking your medication regularly and are pleasant at how well it seems to be working. So it's December, and you've returned to your parents' house to celebrate the holidays with your family. At the living room window, you can see a gentle flurry of snow drifting down to meet the pristine blanket of white from yesterday's unexpected Christmas Eve snowfall, and you quietly laugh to yourself at how incredibly cliché it seems. Still, as you sit down to dinner, you can't help but notice how being surrounded by family and the overly kitschy atmosphere your mom's decorations have created have actually made you feel relaxed and almost comfortable. Your mom is running around frantically checking the oven and the stockings and just generally trying to family time it up, while your dad sits at the head of the table drinking a beer and laughing with your brother Malcolm. His wife Karen is there too, whom you've always gotten along well with, and your parents even agreed to let you bring your kitten along. She's been darting in and out of people's legs and hopping into laps all night. As you thoughtfully munch away at your turkey, listening to the conversations around you, your thoughts drift back over the last few months. You think about how hard things had gotten, replaying over in your head some of your worst, as well as some of your best memories. It seems like all of these things just came to a head over the past few months, with a sudden flurry of relationship turmoil and professional anxiety, social stress, and above all, an omnipresent sense of weight that it seems you have just recently become aware of. You're drawn out of your reverie by your dad's familiar booming laugh at some cheesy comments Malcolm made seems to have hit its mark. Sitting at that table, you're suddenly immensely glad for the chance to be able to ignore everything for an evening and not have to struggle trying to explain yourself for once. Fortunately, everyone seems to be content with laughing at each other's jokes and discussing favorite sport teams, and for a while you think you'll be able to go through dinner without an embarrassing personal intrusion. But no sooner did the thought cross your mind that the table conversation trickles off, leaving a slightly awkward silence to descend upon the dinner. "So, how are you doing these days?" your mom asks you pointedly. It's such a simple question, and on that you seem to have had to answer countless times recently. and one that you seem to have had to answer. Yeah, alright. You take a moment to collect your thoughts, then looking up, you take a deep breath.